Good evening, my Real News Midday TV family. Welcome back to the channel for another news update for October 21, 2023. Please remember to leave a comment, like, share, and click on the notification bell. And in the news this evening, fight over passengers land a taxi driver in jail. A fight allegedly over passengers in Lindsay, St. Catherine, between two taxi drivers has landed one in jail and the other nursing chop wounds. The taxi driver facing a charge, Kim Johnson, otherwise called Hotmail, of Buxton in the parish, was offered bail for $200,000 when he appeared in court on Friday. As a condition of his bail, Johnson, who is charged with wounding with intent, is to report to the Lindsay police every Wednesday. His matter is to be mentioned on December 15. According to reports on October 2, Johnson and another taxi driver were loading their motor vehicles at Yorton taxi stand in Linstead when a dispute developed over passengers. The accused man allegedly pulled a knife and swung it at the complainant, who went home and took up a knife, a police report said. According to the police report, while the complainant was returning to the taxi stand, he saw Johnson at a section of the road called Donkey Tank. The complainant stopped his vehicle in the road and reportedly approached the accused man with a knife. The accused man allegedly pulled a machete from his car and swung it at the approaching complainant. The complainant reportedly put up a hand to block the blow and was chopped on the index, middle, and ring fingers of that hand. He was assisted to the Linstead Public Hospital, where he was treated and transferred to the University Hospital of the West Indies for further treatment. A report was later made to the police, and Johnson was arrested. Chong tells JPs to stop acting like lawyers. Minister of Justice Delroy Chok says justices of the peace should refrain from giving legal advice to people, even as he pointed to the practice of some JPs who behave as if they're lawyers. You are someone they expect to know most things, but I urge you, justices of the peace, you are not trained lawyers, so don't give legal advice. You know you could be sued for misleading someone, so be very careful, Chok told a sensitization session for JPs at a Gulfview Hotel in Mandeville on Friday. He said that JPs who have misled people have added to the backlog of cases at the Administrator General's department. A lot of the cases at the Administrator General is because JPs give wrong advice to people. When they come with a piece of paper that they own this parcel of land, sometimes it gives problems at the Administrator General's department. There are JPs who believe that they are lawyers, so they can put together an agreement for sale for land in the country. It is not your duty or responsibility, Chuck said. When people want to sell land, I beg you, send them to a lawyer. Lawyers are trained. Yes, you might think that they charge too much, but at least tell the persons, I am not in a position to help you with an agreement for sale. I know there are many justices of the peace across Jamaica who behave as if they are trained lawyers and put people in trouble, added Chuck. He also said that while JPs should encourage people to make wills, they should not act as lawyers. As JPs, the will is simple, but don't make wills for people. Tell them to follow the advice. You might guide them. You know what lawyers do? Lawyers say, I give advice without responsibility, especially when they are not paid, because if they are paid, they must take responsibility, he said. He said when people don't make a will, it creates an enormous amount of problems. Chung said JPs should not be reluctant to tell people when they are not knowledgeable on matters. It is important for you JPs that when you give advice that you are sure, and if you are not, don't be afraid to say I am not sure, he said. Chang repeats shoot to kill advice to the police. National Security Minister Dr. Harris Chang is again encouraging members of the Jamaica Constabulary Force to shoot to kill when confronted by armed criminals. Dr. Chang says there are criminals who are shooting at police officers at the checkpoints. Against that background, he is urging police officers to use their training to defend themselves. The National Security Minister was speaking Friday at the annual LASCO Jamaica Constabulary Force Awards ceremony held in St. Andrew. Last year, Dr. Chang came under criticism by civil rights groups for making a similar statement where he urged the cops to shoot to kill. These advocacy groups were concerned as they said the statement could be interpreted as a tacit approval of extrajudicial killings. NSWMA urges composting and recycling. The National Solid Waste Management Authority is again urging householders to reduce their generation of waste by composting and recycling. NSWMA Executive Director Audley Gordon has stressed that too much waste is being generated in Jamaica for a country with its population size. In that regard, Mr. Gordon told the news that the NSWMA is also pursuing its own waste reduction strategy. He was speaking against the background of concerns raised about the backlog of garbage.
Based on our recent waste characterization study, almost 70% of the garbage is compostable. Why is that garbage still being loaded on a truck to take to a disposal site? That's retrograde. We want to get people into composting. We want to get people into recycling. Modern jurisdiction where people are forward thinking, they're not talking about getting additional trucks and having additional acreage dedicated to disposal site. They are talking about how to get better solid waste management at source, where people reduce, reuse, and recycle and repurpose. So we are partnering with entities like the Jamaica Recycling Partners, and we are seeing where that's making a difference. We are moving the plastic slowly but surely out of the waste stream. And that's the conversation I want to have. How we can divert the different components of the garbage into different directions so that very little is left for the trucks to come. And if we pursue this line of conversation, challenge our people, I am putting it to you that in another 2 or 3 years, we'll be coming to not to talk about trucks. We'll be coming to talk about closing disposal sites. We'll be coming to talk about using less trucks and stop polluting the air with all this carbon monoxide that's coming out of these big trucks that's going around through the communities.
Porters charged for alleged rape of female patient to return to court December 15. The two porters charged with the rape of a patient at the Spanish Town Hospital had their bails extended in the St. Catherine Parish Court on Friday. The accused are Corey Orr, otherwise called Usher, of Clifton District, St. Catherine, and the 31-year-old Shamar Edwards, otherwise called the Short Man. They are charged with rape and grievous sexual assault. When the matter came up for mention before Senior Parish Court Judge Desiree Alain, the accused were told to reappear on December 15, when the matter will again be mentioned. It was revealed that the case file was still incomplete, with several statements outstanding, along with documents from the hospital. It is alleged that the complainant was sexually assaulted at the hospital about 8 p.m. on August 18. The matter was reported and following a probe by the Center for the Investigation of Sexual Offenses and Child Abuse, both men were arrested. They were subsequently charged following a question and answer session. The men are being defended by attorneys Davian Vassell and Earl Hamilton. Stolen bulls recovered by St. Elizabeth lawmen. Swift action by the police, aided by citizens of Malvern St. Elizabeth, led to the recovery of 2 brown bulls which were stolen on October 11. The owner reportedly fed the animals earlier in the day and left the area. However, about 7:45 p.m., citizens observed a black Toyota which parked on a section of the roadway, and the men were observed loading the animals into the vehicle. The lawmen were contacted and the vehicular checkpoints set up at several major corridors. The bulls were later recovered on the Retrieve main road. The culprits, however, escaped, the police said. The police have commended the citizens who reported the matter early, which aided in the swift recovery of the animals. Blacks are charged after allegedly breaking into supermarket in St. Elizabeth. The St. Elizabeth police have charged a man from St. Elizabeth for larceny and housebreaking after he allegedly broke into a supermarket on October 15. Charged is Dwayne Atkinson, otherwise called the Blacks, a 29-year-old construction worker of Newtown, Black River in the parish. Reports are that about 2 a.m., surveillance cameras picked up 4 men seen in the vicinity of a popular supermarket in Black River. The police patrol team was alerted and traveled to the location. Upon the arrival of the lawmen, the men fled the scene. The police gave chase and 1 man was held. The items recovered were identified by the owner, and the lawmen later inspected the establishment and realized that that entry was gained through a window. Atkinson was subsequently taken into custody, where he was charged. His court date is being finalized. The other culprits are still being pursued by the Black River Police. Review sentencing guidelines for firearm offenses to encourage guilty pleas, says attorneys. Defense attorneys are calling for legislators to amend the mandatory minimum sentence for firearm offenses to make guilty pleas more enticing. The call comes days after Justice Minister Delroy Chuck disclosed that there has been a reduction in the number of guilty pleas in the gun court since the introduction of the new Firearms Act and the mandatory minimum 15-year sentence. Attorneys at law Vincent Wellesley and Sanjay Smith says the reduction in guilty pleas is unsurprising given there is no plea deal incentive for the accused.
The defendant must be where he gets a benefit in terms of a reduction in his sentence. And so, my view is that the attempt by the legislature to usurp the role of the judges, it is my view that it is wrong. It is my view that it makes no sense. It is counterproductive. It is ill-conceived and absurd. The judges were doing fine. The judges took into account the mitigating and the aggravating features of each case before they passed their sentence. Now, what happens during that time? The witnesses may get impatient, God forbid, they may fall ill, or they may even die. And so it must affect the system of justice for these matters to take so long to try. And that will be the result, because I would never advise one of my clients to give a guilty plea for having a gun in his possession, unless I'm not in my right mind.
Attorney at law Sanjay Smith, while noting that it takes less time to try a firearm case compared to, for example, murder, noted that a reduction in guilty pleas will add to the caseload and further burden the justice system.
In terms of the overall resources, for example, you apply for a forensic certificate and you're hoping and praying it comes back within 4 weeks. But really and truly, there is enough manpower to really deal with the majority or what they call the volume of cases that really and truly come through the court system. There's also, in my view, from my observation, there's a shortage of court reporters. We don't have enough to deal with the amount of cases that come through the court system. We also need, and this might sound interesting, but we also need more prosecutors. We need more courtrooms. Just a whole heap of different things that make the court system work.